Hey friends, welcome back to Daily Sage Insights, where we dive deep into life's most important questions, always guided by timeless wisdom. If you're here today, it's probably because you're dealing with the painful loss of a loved one, or perhaps know someone who is. First off, let me tell you, I'm sorry you're going through this. Grief is a journey that, in many ways, we all must face, often when we least expect it. But before we begin, I want you to know that the last idea I'll share in this video will be the most powerful one for moving forward. So stay with me until the end. I promise you, it's worth it. Now, let's talk about something that's hard to put into words: the death of someone you love. When we lose someone close to us, it can feel like the world stops. Time seems to slow down, and we're faced with this big, heavy question. Why? The pain is often unbearable. It's natural to feel like a part of us is gone forever. But what if we could approach this painful reality from a perspective that not only helps us cope, but also leads to greater peace and understanding? What if, instead of just enduring, we could actually learn and grow from the experience? In this video, I want to share wisdom from some of the greatest minds in history and help you see how you can apply their teachings to your own life as you navigate grief. Let's start with Stoicism, a school of philosophy that teaches us how to manage our emotions, particularly in the face of suffering. One of the most influential Stoic philosophers, Marcus Aurelius, said, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Now, I know that might sound intense, but think about it for a second. This idea can be a great source of comfort when dealing with loss. Marcus Aurelius isn't telling us to be cold or indifferent. He's reminding us of the reality that life is fragile, and death is a part of that. By accepting that death is inevitable, we can better appreciate the time we had with the person who has passed. It helps us cherish those moments more deeply, rather than focusing on our loss. So, a practical application of this idea might be reflecting on the good memories you shared with your loved one. Instead of being consumed with sadness, ask yourself, what did this person teach me? How did they influence my life for the better? These reflections don't make the pain disappear, but they help shift your focus to gratitude for the time you did have. Another powerful philosopher who had a lot to say about life and death was Socrates. Socrates believed that death isn't something we should fear, and in fact we should live our lives as if we're preparing for it at all times. He once said, "Death may be the greatest of all human blessings." Now, I know that might sound strange, but he wasn't saying that death is good. It's what comes after that he was focusing on. To Socrates, death was a natural part of life, and rather than dreading it, we should focus on making the most of the time we have. So how does this connect to grief? When we experience loss, Socrates encourages us to focus on what we can do with the time that's left, not just for ourselves, but in memory of the one we've lost. In practical terms, you can apply this by asking yourself, what can I do today to live a life that honors my loved one's memory? It could be something as simple as adopting a habit they valued or sharing their story with others. In doing so, you carry their legacy forward in your actions. Now let's switch gears for a moment and turn to existentialism, a philosophy that's all about finding meaning in life, especially in the face of suffering. Think about someone like Jean-Paul Sartre, who talked about the idea of personal responsibility. When we lose someone, it can feel like we have no control over the situation. But Sartre's wisdom reminds us that while we can't control death, we do have the ability to choose how we respond to it. For Sartre, it's the way we choose to act after the loss that defines who we are. Yes, grief is painful. Yes, we feel helpless at times, but we have the power to choose how we channel that energy. We can let it consume us, or we can transform it into something meaningful, perhaps through creativity, helping others, or finding new ways to grow. For example, maybe you decide to start a charity in your loved one's name. Or maybe you write about your journey to help others who are grieving. It's about taking that pain and turning it into a source of strength, much like the phoenix rising from the ashes. Another piece of wisdom comes from the Buddhist philosophy, which speaks deeply about accepting the impermanence of life. The Buddha taught that everything is in constant flux and that attachment to people, places, or things is the root of our suffering. This doesn't mean we shouldn't love or care for those around us, It simply means we should recognize that, just as life is precious, it's also fleeting. In moments of loss, Buddhism encourages us to sit with our grief, accept it, and release our attachment. You don't have to deny your emotions, but understand that they too will pass. This kind of mindfulness helps you become more aware of your feelings, without becoming overwhelmed by them. So how can you apply this? One way is through meditation or mindful breathing. Instead of fighting the grief, sit with it, observe it, and let it flow through you without judgment. This practice helps you become more present, both with your sorrow and your joy, allowing you to process loss in a healthier, more balanced way. Now, we've covered some powerful philosophical wisdom, but I want to leave you with something even more personal, a thought I've had during my own times of loss, and I hope it brings you comfort too. The best way to honor a loved one after they've passed is by living a life that reflects the values they gave you. Maybe they taught you kindness or patience, or a love for adventure. Whatever it was, now is the time to embrace those qualities in your own life. Grief doesn't last forever, but the legacy of those we've loved can last a lifetime. By living fully, with purpose and heart, we keep their spirit alive in everything we do. So I encourage you to reflect on how you can embody their best traits, how you can live in a way that makes them proud. In the end, as Rainer Maria Rilke once said, "Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final." This, friends, is how we move forward. Grief is not something we conquer, but something we learn to live with, in a way that makes us stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope this video gave you a little comfort, a little insight, and a reminder that no matter how tough things get, you have the strength within you to keep moving forward. And always remember, life is a beautiful, fleeting journey. Let's make it count. If this video helped you in any way, please like, share, and subscribe to Daily Sage Insights for more life lessons and inspiration. And as always, take care of yourself and each other.